All right, folks, welcome to the call. I'm Avi Singh, and I was maybe an above average Excel user, but I became extraordinary when I discovered Power BI. But we're not here to talk about me. We're here to talk Power BI. So yeah, there's no presentation. This is just you and me just having a conversation. And the way we're going to do it is if you just raise your hand, there should be an option to raise your hand, and I'm going to unmute one of you, and you just ask a question. Okay, all right. Oh, we have a special guest today, Charles Sterling, who's playing with his raise hand button. Uh, Charles Sterling, if you don't know already, he hosts, amongst all the other stuff he does, he hosts a series of Power BI webinars, and we just ran one yesterday. So I know, folks, it's kind of hard to be the first one to go, but yeah, don't be shy. If you have any question, anything on your mind, anything you want to just talk about around Power BI, by all means, just raise your hand and I can unmute you. Okay, all right, we got a few. All right, so hey, actually, let's see what Charles has to say. All right, Charles, well, thank you for joining. Gosh, I'm so glad to have you on the call. How's it going? How's your morning?
Am I talking?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I actually lowered my hand. I didn't know what that button did, and I put it back down when you said raise your hand if you want to talk. Good morning,
Okay,
everybody. I
all
didn't have
right,
anything to say, and
perfect,
I'm still waking up.
perfect. So you know what? I'll leave you on mute. You can mute yourself on your side, and if you hang on the call, however long you stay, right? And if you have anything on any question the audience asks, just chime in. All right?
Sounds great.
Okay, perfect. So we do have our first question, and that's from Eric. Hey, Eric, how's it going? Tell us a bit about yourself. Where are you joining from? And yeah, what's on your mind?
Hey, Avi. Thanks for taking my call. I'm a BI analyst. I'm working in Wisconsin today,
All
and I
right.
have a question regarding images in the tables
Okay.
in Power BI. So I saw some posts, and I've experimented a little bit with it. I've got a table where I have my image URLs specified,
Yeah.
and I've categorized the field as an image URL field.
Very good.
And I
Yeah,
can
that's
get
the key.
Yeah, I can get the images to work if I'm basing uh, it on a calculated column. So I've got it like a sales table, and if the sales are greater, or if that record says sale is greater than 100,
Yeah.
that the indicator to 1, that maps to the up arrow in my image table. That works fine. But where I'm struggling is if I want to have the images display based off a measure. So I want to take the sum of all my sales based off the
Yeah.
filters that they have on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
If there's a way to do that. Didn't look like
Great question.
on a
All right.
measure you
Perfect.
can't categorize it. So
Okay, I almost forgot. So I've been accused in the past of not repeating the question or not making sure that everybody understands the question. So the deal is, I put some money in a glass jar if I don't do it. Not sure. We're not sure what we're gonna do with that money, but we'll see. We'll do something good for the community. Okay, great. So let's go here. So good question. I like that. Let me kind of jot it down. All right, great. So your question is, you're trying to show images work for a column. I'll just say a column. I mean, it can be calculated or it can be coming in from your source. Both of those work, but
yep.
how to make them display based on measure. Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Okay, gosh, where do I start? Let's try PBI. All right, give it a second while it launches. So first of all, what Eric is talking about, I just want to show that to others. Where did that go? Table. wasn't card. There we go. So let me show the data set really quick. So Eric, this is mostly for the benefit of others who might be listening in. So here we have territories, and I have this column, region image, and this is a URL. Region image, come on. Well, you'll have to take my word on it. And the key is that you go in the modeling tab and you have to tell Power BI that, hey, this is actually an image URL. And there's another one which I'll just show. This is a link. This is supposed to be like, hey, if you want more information, and this is I've categorized as a web URL, and that means it's going to show up as a hot link. So otherwise, it will just show up as text, but if you categorize a web URL, it's clickable. And the image URL, you can see it shows up as images, which is really, really cool. You can do things like this. One of my favorite custom visuals is the chiclet slicer, and you can show images in there. So yes, images are flexible, but they work off of a calculated column, but maybe not off a measure. But I'll step back, and gosh, let me ask you. I'll go out on a limb here, and say, hey, are you trying to do kind of KPI data? What is it?
Yeah.
So are you trying to do something like this in Power BI?
Yeah, I mean, really, they have the conditional formatting, and the shading's fine, but they're accustomed to, 3 states like this.
Yeah.
And we have it in our cube that way, but I'm not trying to source this for the cube. So.
All right. Okay, let me ask you another question. Ooh, it's going to be critical. Where are you developing your model? So really, you can develop your model, and I call both of them Power BI data model. Maybe I shouldn't, but it's the same technology. You can build it using Excel add-ins, Power Pivot, Power Query, and you can build using Power BI Desktop. Which one is the tool of your choice?
I'm using the desktop.
Okay. All right, then you may not like this part.
It might not be possible.
All right, hold on. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, where is it? Where is it? All right. So this is an Excel model, and again, I really think that the underneath, I know that the engines are same or nearly similar, and Excel has the ability to create KPIs, not to confuse with the KPI visual. So this one of my students brought to light that there is a KPI visual, but this one is the red-green arrow, and once I bring it up, it'll look instantly familiar, right? So you can say this. And my favorite is this one because it works for colorblind people as well. Apparently colorblind can't really, red, yellow, green doesn't work great for them. All right, so I'll just do something quick. This is a percentage and 0.4, 0.8, perfect. And KPI, I'm gonna ignore that, assuming it worked. Let's say insert pivot table. Actually, I wanted a new sheet. Let's try it. Insert pivot table. Okay. And now I should have that KPI. No, I didn't error it out. Let's try it again. Create KPI. Oh man. That's sometimes the challenge with Excel. It's a little finicky, but you would have to take my word for it. It gives you a KPI. It gives you that red, green, yellow. And the oddest thing is that you can import that data model in Power BI Desktop. You can go import Excel workbook contents. It'll import the model in, and it'll have the KPIs as well. So you can, drag it on a column, and it'll just have that red, yellow, green indicator based on exactly how you set it up. So clearly, it's capable of doing that, but to the best of my knowledge, yet the ability to create that has not been exposed in here. It's capable of, but it doesn't have the ability to create that. I hope that comes soon, and I try to find it. I was having this discussion with one of my students yesterday. I tried to find the idea. I don't know if you're familiar with the ideas.powerbi.com
for sure.
site. Yeah, but I
Yep.
couldn't find that. I couldn't find the request which says, let me do the same thing in Power BI. If you can find it, by all means, share with us. I'll share with the group here.
Sure.
Okay, right.
Okay.
But coming back to your question, yeah. So measures, I don't believe you can show an image based
Okay.
on measure. I mean, let me quickly try something. So we'll say territories, and I'll just say new measure, and I'll say some image equals first non-blank, great, image, region image, great. So really right now I don't really care. I just want to return an image. And if we go new and I put some image, what does it show? I mean, of course I can show in a table, it shows the URL, but yeah, what about the yeah, so in a table, I don't think there's a way to categorize it. Format, modeling.
Right.
Yeah, so because the data category, it's grayed out. It
Yeah.
only
Yeah.
shows a way to say that this is an image. Either of those things would fix it. So it's a bit frustrating. I think what we really need is not have to tinker around with the images and just be able to do the KPIs, which clearly this system is capable of. So sorry, I didn't quite solve the problem for you, but that's the best I have.
Yeah,
All right.
I understand completely. Thanks for looking into it.
All right, absolutely. Thanks for your question. Okay, let's go. Oops. All right, let's go. Where is it? All right, hey, my friends. Well, we're ready for question number 2. So, yep, whatever's on your mind, go ahead, just raise your hand, and I'll unmute you, and we'll talk. How do we do this? All right, there we go. And our next caller is Karen. Karen, well, hello and welcome. Tell us about yourself. Tell us where you're calling in from and what's on your mind. Hello, you're unmute. We should be able to hear you if your microphone is working. Hi there. Karen, did you have a question you wanted to ask? Okay, I think I can hear something, but I can't hear you talking. Okay, no worries. We can come back to you if you change your mind. So, all right, folks, don't be shy. No silly questions, really. It's all good. All right, we got a repeat caller. Hey, Pamela, how are you doing?
Yes. Hello. Hey, Avi.
Good to hear from you again. How's it going?
Yeah, I'm doing good. A DAX function that I'm having trouble understanding is CROSSJOIN.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when would you use it? How would you use it?
Yeah, that's a good question. Excellent question. Kind of off on the deep end, but I think it's not that complicated. So
Okay.
cross-join in concept is, let's say you have table 1. I wonder if I can something call it. So let's say I have ice cream flavors. And vanilla, raspberry, and watermelon. And that is my table. And another that have, I don't know, colors simply. So we'll say red, blue, green, and so on. And maybe I didn't pick a great example, so watermelon maybe can not be blue, but let's assume in this example, maybe you can, potentially it can, right? So, so imagine I have these two separate tables, and then I want to figure out that, you know, and maybe I'm running an experiment. I'm running an experiment, and I'm selling vanilla ice cream in these three colors. I'm selling raspberry in these three colors, and I'm selling watermelon in these three colors. So I'm selling each flavor in each color. Hopefully, you're equating a more sensible example with this, but you get the
Okay.
idea, right?
Okay.
And so, you know, so each is going to be combined by each of the other one. And then I get my results back, and then I would just want to check, hey, for vanilla and red, what were the results? So something like that, right? And
Okay.
raspberry and red, what was the results, and so forth. So cross-join, it returns a table, and what that does, actually, you know what? Maybe if before I speak more, let's
Okay.
make sure I have the syntax right. I believe I do. Yeah, so just table. So frankly, I'll admit I can't wrap my head around the third table. That's really too much for me, but I get two tables and I get the scenario. So CrossJoin, what it's going to do is it's going to give you essentially all combination of that table. So it'll say vanilla and red, blue, green, right? So it'll give you this table. And then, of course, do the same for raspberry, do the same for watermelon. So it'll give you that, you know, kind of the, I don't know, yeah, kind of multiply. So it says vanilla, red, blue, green, raspberry, red, blue, green. It gives you all the rows. And
Okay.
often when I've found myself using CrossJoin, it's not often, it's rare, at least for the kind of work that I do, is
Okay.
I get the combinations and then I pass it through a filter. So I say, hey, filter, go run through this table and figure something out for this combination, right? But the
Okay.
only way I can generate that table that I want to run through in filter is via CrossJoin.
Okay. Okay. That
All
helps.
right.
Thank you.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Great stuff. Thank you. Actually, oops. That's for okay. I did write it. Ooh, no money in the class jar. Yay. All right, so we have our next question from David. David, you're unmute. Tell us about yourself. Tell us maybe where you're calling from and what's on your mind.
Hi, Avi. Repeat caller, actually,
All
from
right. Hey,
last week.
welcome back then.
But
Yay.
thanks. Real excited to see Power BI is offering drill down capability in the matrix visual.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Interested to see, you know, I've got basically a cube of data that in the end of the day, or, you know, any financial data is your net income, net loss, right? But within that, we've got sales and COGS, cost of goods sold, and then you got your SG&A, selling,
Yeah.
selling them and expenses, and you know across. So that's top to bottom, left to right. You've got your actual results, maybe your plan or forecast results, or your prior year results.
Yeah.
Looking for a way to take again just that big lump of data and use like a switch measure that I could work within a matrix to deliver like a P&L type reporting.
Yeah. Oh
That's
gosh,
maybe a
love it.
big question, but
No, that's looking. All right. Great. Let me pull something up. Hold on. I'm gonna pause the screen while I hunt around for it. Oops. Okay. Where is it? Huh. All right. So this is as close as I'm gonna get, but yeah, let's just do P&L report. I know what you're talking about. Can't type it today. So yes, a P&L report is usually a very specific format, And as you said, kind of top to bottom, there is a specific order that things need to be listed as.
Right.
And right left, you might have, I mean, this one is a different example, but you might have, as you said, you might have kind of plan, forecast, actual, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so how do you do it? So I would say there are two approaches to it. And I'll ask you the same question I asked the previous caller, which is the tool of your choice? Do you typically build your models in Excel using the add-ins, or do you use Power BI Desktop?
Power BI Desktop.
Okay, all right. So I'll start with this then, but maybe for the other callers, yeah, okay. So before I forget, maybe I should write it down. So this is sort by. Okay, so let's talk about the first one, and let's see how much I can do here. So you say select measure finance. Where are my measures? There we go. Let's see a good column. Now let's just do this. So of course, kind of right to left is perhaps, that's not that hard. I mean, you can control it based on let me make it bigger. So what you need to show kind of right to left, that you can easily control. But whichever display you're choosing, right? So you can drop them in the order that you need to show. If you need to show budget before actual or something like that, you can control that. That shouldn't be the hard part. There are two parts which may be challenging. As you're stepping through this, and I don't quite have this example, but imagine you had these labels there somewhere. Let me just pick up some of these labels.
And that's exactly sort of what I'm referring to there.
Exactly, yeah. So are you familiar with the technique called disconnected slicers? It's okay,
no, I mean, I've certainly heard of it, but haven't used it per se.
Okay, all right. So I think I have an example here. Disconnected slicer. Ooh, yeah, this is cool. So what this does is, I'll show you the table itself. It lets you kind of select. You notice it's very, very simple, but what it's doing is it lets you select, which measure do I show? Do I show current or quarter date, year to date? And I'll show you how this is working, and then I'll tell you how I think it can fit in your role. So here, so this is the report that I started. So this is from a real case scenario that I worked on a client. This was out there somewhere on the web, where I was showing them kind of a report where I said, oh, show me month, show me quarter date, show me year to date. And then at the bottom, I showed them detail, I think for quarter day, I forget. But, of course, in the meetings, what happened was that sometimes their discussion was around the monthly number, and they wanted to see monthly detail down here. Or sometimes the discussion was year to date, and they wanted to see that detail here, and there just wasn't enough space. So what I did was that I wrote this selector, and notice it affects the table at the bottom. I can say, oh, what happened this month? And I can say, show me kind of the current or the closed month. Or I can say, hey, what happened this year? And I can click on that, right?
Nice.
And how that's working under the covers is notice these measures are different. This is not the actual, which is just a sum of sales amount. Let's go here. So the actual measure is, yep, I will ignore that. It's pretty much a simple sum, but I'll show you this one, actual select, and ta-da! Well, you asked for switch functions. There is, but it might not be used the way you were thinking. Right, so this is what it's saying. It's saying switch on some condition, and based on that condition, show ABC, right? And what you're going to do is you're going to go to, well, one way to do it. I kind of love the fact that there are different ways to do things in Power BI. It reminds me of my Excel world. It was always the case. So let's go back to our profit loss, and you would build this table up. So you will say income, whatever, gross profit, and total expense, net profit. I'll just do 4. And another thing you need is an order, because otherwise it's going to sort it alphabetically. So this is, say, heading, and this is order. Perfect. Hit OK. Close and apply. So you're going to have your table. You already have your measures. Those are the easy part. And then you're going to have another table where you can add the, oh, I didn't really call it. So heading 1, so notice right now it's doing the alphabetical sorting because I didn't fix it. So let me quickly go fix it. So I'm going to go into data view, table 1. I should go back and rename it. And I'll just say sort by order. So now you can custom tune the order. It's going to show up in exactly the order that you give it. And now you can add measures to it. But of course, if I add measures to it now, it's not going to work because it doesn't really know what to do. Like, what do I do for income? And that's where you need to write a smarter measure, which is going to look something like this. So it's going to say, oh, which heading do I have? Oh, I have income. Oh, then do this. Oh, I have gross profit. Then show this. So this place is going to be a new measure. How does that sound? Does that sound like you got a path you can try to walk on, like how this might work?
Well, again, exactly as you're noting there, working down the line with the visual that you've got selected down the bottom, you've got your income, your gross profit, your total expense, net profit, and the measure that you're using is just pulling in the same value. Can it recognize, based on that variable that's on the left there, income, gross profit, etc., to filter based on that variable?
Oh, absolutely.
Within a matrix.
I believe so, yeah. So let's try it. So let's try matrix. Actually, maybe we can write it really quick. So here, I'll write what I call a harvesting measure. So I'll say selected heading equals, and we'll just say, oops, let's go here, okay. And if has one value, heading otherwise blank. So first I get the heading, matrix. Okay, all right, perfect, that works. So actual wasn't working, no worries. So now we have the heading, and now we can write a new measure. Let me copy something like this. So we'll say new measure, actual report, whatever. I'm bad with names. And here you use the switch function, and you say switch on selected heading. And now you just gotta, if income, then I'll not write the measure, but you will have to write the measure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Gross profit 200. Total expense 300. Okay. Net profit 400. Otherwise, there is an else clause here, so maybe you can say otherwise 0 or something like that. And let's see how this works. Actual report. Yeah, so you get an idea. Of course, it's just a measure. You can format it, dollars or something like that. So very possible. So yeah, you can custom tune it. So yeah, give that a shot. And again, if you want to read more about disconnected slicers, I would point you to my book if you don't have it already. Where is it? Where is it? And that has a whole chapter on this technique, disconnected slicers.
I do have your book.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so crack it open. I don't remember the chapter number, but yeah, look for disconnected slicers. That's what this technique is. So why it's called disconnected slicers is you notice that these tables are not connected by a relationship, but in a way they're affecting our calculation, affecting our math. So that's the technique. It's pretty cool. It's got lots of uses. This is one of my favorite. Another approach. So I'm going to have to show this kind of quickly, but let's try. Actually, let's try it here. is imagine you upload the model. Are you using PowerBI.com right now, or you're not using kind of the cloud?
Oh yeah, we are as well.
Okay, so if you upload your data set and then you can create a report in Excel. Yep, save, open. And here, let's do something. So this is not the finance data set, but I'll just give you a clue. Let's do sales by territory, maybe country. Is you get that set, and sorry. What you would do is you could build a pivot table or something. Oh, okay. I'm going to cut to the chase. So the key here is you go to where do you go? Analyze, OLAP tools, and you say convert to formulas. And now these are formulas, and you can copy paste them around. So you can say, oh, maybe the first one was income, and you can build your own table. And you say, oh, this one was whatever, net profit. And it's dynamically linked to your model. And if you had any slicers and such built in to the pivot table you converted to formulas, it'll respect those slicers as well. It really depends on your situation which approach is better. For now, I'll say try the disconnected slicers, but keep this in your back pocket.
Yeah, I like the disconnected slicer, and I like what you did there with the switch. I think I'm going to look that way first.
All right, perfect. All right, pretty cool. Good question. Loved it. All right, my friends, so who else wants to go? Actually, you got some comments typed in. Sorry, I was not paying attention to that. Karen, oh, I tried talking. Okay, so let me see. Karen is still on. She's still on. Great. So Karen said, I tried talking, didn't work. I'm coming from being a heavy Excel user. You're my kind of people, by the way. I talk about that in all my talks. Yeah, I mean, I was dyed-in-the-wool Excel user. I still identify as an Excel user. It's just like, it feels like I'm Excel users with superpowers or something like that, where you build a flat table with all the data needed in PivotTable. My question is, what is the best way to learn how to build data models, multiple tables, and relationships? Great question. Great question. Love it. Oh, I better write it down. No money for the class there. Sorry. So Karen is saying, maybe I can just copy a good part of it. Okay. Great question. And first of all, before I answer that, what I'm going to say is this. I think when I was an Excel user and then I discovered these new tools, the first time I stumbled upon them, it didn't even have a name. It was codenamed as Project Gemini, which later was renamed to Power Pivot. And that was my first taste of this. And I've never looked back, and I love these tools. But I have seen other Excel users who have tried to kind of walk on this journey, and I feel like my one experience put me head and shoulders above that crowd. I mean, it gave me such an edge. Okay, there we go. And I talked about this in this blog post where, and I really had somebody else to thank. So Gregory Weber, he was my colleague, and he sat down with us with this book, and the idea was that we're going to do a book club, but really it ended up Greg teaching all of us what the heck does this mean. And the book club got disbanded. We could never finish the book. We had only gone about halfway, I don't know, chapter 6 or something. But just that chapter 6 knowledge that I got thanks to Greg was my edge. Really, it kind of differentiated me from everybody else pretty much. It gave me such an edge. So data modeling is certainly key, and you do want to get out of the habit of flattening tables. So I'll point you to a few resources. So in our book, all of this information is kind of woven into the chapters. So it was sprinkled throughout, And I actually wanted to make data modeling chapter on itself, but we talked about it and the book was already, I don't know, 300 pages or something, so we ran out of room. So essentially, I published the chapter as this blog post. So I'll, let me see if I can share that with everybody. So Karen, and I'll send it to everybody. Great. So you have that link. So this is a good start. The book is a good place, but again, it's kind of sprinkled throughout. This one focuses specifically on data modeling. Now, if you really, really love this stuff, again, you can go with this book, or I don't know, contact Gregory Weber. There he is on LinkedIn, and say, hey, can you help me? Try to read through this book. Frankly, as an Excel user, if Greg wasn't around, I would have probably struggled with it, but I'm not one of the more smarter ones. So yeah, maybe you'll be okay with the book. So this is if you want to dive deeper. I had another idea. What I'll say is that just the fact that you're aware of it, you're in such a good spot, right? The worst thing is a lot of people are not even aware. They happily get all the tables in, and then I love it. I just love it. What they do is you go over here and you have the sales table, and then they'll do this. Instead of relationships or whatever, they're going to say add column, and they'll say, ooh, I want to get my product category, and they'll say related. Yeah, so they'll flatten it in the new world, and I find that just hilarious. So yeah, just the fact that you're aware is good. The data modeling will give you some ideas. So the other aspect that that might be challenging is obviously when you do not flatten, then you have relationships, and then you have to kind of understand the relationships. Is it kind of filtering in both directions? What's the data? What's the lookup table? And our book has a lot of good info on that as well. So try that, and hey, if you get stuck, if you have any questions, any specific questions, we're going to talk every Friday. All right? Okay. So hope that helps. Let me know if you have any follow-up. Okay, folks, so okay, let's see. All right, glad that helped. Oh yeah, Seth shared a link. There's also pretty cool edX courses on developing a tabular model. Ooh, that's cool. Yeah, nice. So look for that. Okay, all right. So I think we have a question, but Seth, let me just read your comments. Okay. Huh. Yeah, so you had a comment about the maybe dynamic segmentation, but I think the challenge is measures just can't show images as far as we tried. It just it just shows the actual text as itself, only if there was some way to kind of categorize, change the data category to that. So I'm not sure that worked. Okay, but yeah, good comments. Dynamic segmentation is certainly a good technique. All right, so we got Pamela. All right, Pamela.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, when you were in Analyze in Excel, I thought of a question. Can you write formulas once you're in there? Can you add something while you're in the Excel version of it?
You cannot. In fact, it is so severe. Where was I? Let's do. Yeah, wouldn't that be nice? So if you go Insert, PivotTable, existing connections. Yep, there it is. So in my training, I talk about implicit and explicit measures. And again, I mean, people coming from Excel background, which is my included, so I'm not like looking down on them or anything. And I struggle with the same thing. We find it easy that we have our sales table. I'm going to get rid of this. And we do this. We say country, boom, let's make that a table. And then we go to our table. And notice, well, now, of course, I'm totally measure crazy. I can't even say that. So all of these are measures, the measure icons. But when you're starting out, what you do is this. You go in there and find your column, sales amount column. So this is an actual column in here in my sales table, sales amount right here. And you just drag it on there. You just say sales amount, and that's it. And you say, I got what I need, and I even have quick calcs. This is nice, so I can do average, minimum, maximum. But when you go analyze in Excel unless you had what we call, so this is what I call an implicit measure, where you drag a column and it's actually under the covers, it is creating a measure for you, you just don't see it. So this is an implicit measure, and this one is an explicit measure. I define it using a formula. So when you do analyze in Excel, the only things you're going to see are your explicit measures. So if you have a numeric column, let's go there, like tax amount, sales amount here, notice what happens if I try to drag it in values. It doesn't let me, right? So, it's strictly within what's been defined in the model, in the sense that if you've defined measures, those can be used, and of course columns can be used in rows and columns. But if you don't define measures, yeah, you can't do anything. In fact, it becomes useless. So imagine if these were gone, this wasn't there, and this wasn't there, and this wasn't there, then you pretty much can't do anything. So it's limited to that.
So if I want to add another measure, I have to go back to the data model, add it there, and then refresh, and then refresh here. Okay.
Yeah, that's right. So tell me a little bit about the scenario you're thinking of.
Well, the problem is a lot of times you'll set this up for a coworker who doesn't do the data model, but they want to use your information.
Yeah.
And they may not have exactly what you have in your data model, so I would have to go back to my data model and then add what they needed and then bring it back down.
Yeah,
in Power Pivot you could add it, at that point. But
yeah, that's right. Yeah, I realized that is a challenge. I have heard of features they're working on kind of on a different side, but so let me talk about it real quick. Let's see if I have my SQL analysis server running.
And that brings me to another question. If someone shared a content pack with me, I could analyze it in Excel. I think I could get their formula. Okay.
Yeah. You could analyze in Excel. Frankly, it wouldn't really give you the formula itself. I mean, it'll give you the measure. I mean,
can
I peek inside? Can I see how they define it?
Okay, gotcha.
That might be tricky, yeah. But you'll have access to it. Okay, so I have SQL Server running. So Power BI Desktop, let me just launch a new one. So, man, one reason why I love these technologies, I started off as an Excel user and, of course, discovered Power Pivot, Power Query, and then I started doing Power BI Desktop, and then eventually I started mucking around with SQL Server Analysis Server, SSAS Tabular, and have had so much fun with that. And what I really loved once I got over my initial fear is that it's really the knowledge is transferable. I mean, whatever you learned in Excel, Power Pivot, Power Query, you can bring it to Power BI Desktop, and you can bring the same thing to SSAS Tabular. Okay. So SSAS Tabular, of course, gives you scale, gives you some other things, but I'll show you one approach that's used. So if you have your model in SSAS Tabular, what you can do is come to Power BI Desktop and say Get Data, Analysis Services, and I can connect to that SSAS server. Oops, oh, God, connect live. Did I choose the right thing? I think so. Actually, no. So Get Data, Analysis Services, dot, connect live. Yeah, okay, that's what I want, sorry. And I say Hello World Picnic and hit OK. And what I get is kind of what you got in Analyze in Excel, if that makes sense.
Okay.
When you analyze in Excel, you got that field list, and that's what I got. And notice that the modeling is all grayed out. Again, it's the exact same as Analyze in Excel. I'm connecting to an existing cube, and that's what Analyze in Excel was doing. It was connecting to a cube, which is hosted in the cloud, or cube or data model, you call it, right? So now, yeah, I mean, you have all of those things. I don't know if I have any measures. I don't have any measures here. Oh, I do. Great. So sum of attendee, whatever, you can do things like that, and I don't know if I can break it down with category. Perfect, right? So you can design a report, and this is kind of cool. This is really cool. So you can have different people connected in the same model and building reports, publishing them to Power BI. Now, of course, people who started using this mode, so this one is pretty popular for situations where people are using SSAS Tabular. This is really popular, but they had the exact same roadblock that you had. They're like, it's all good, but I want to do, I don't know, the quantity consumed divided by leftover or something like that, or quantity ordered, leftover divided by quantity ordered in this case, or something like that, right? So I want to define just a small calculation, and I can see the data is there. I can almost touch it, but it doesn't let me, right? So I believe they have kind of announced it as well, as in they're working on it somewhere in the ideas.Power BI site, that you're going to be able to define measures here. So that's I think is going to be an encouraging sign. Once they enable that in Power BI Desktop, it's likely. So what I've heard from Microsoft is typically features flow into Power BI Desktop, and then they make their way into Excel after some vetting. It might eventually show up in Excel as well. Okay, so a long-winded answer, but I'll give you another trick. So of course, now your choice is you can. Let me ask you real quick. So why not build the model? If that is your scenario, why not just build it in Excel? It's almost the same thing, right? Power Pivot, Power Query. Do you have a specific reason you build it in Power BI Desktop?
Well, we're still on Excel 2010, and it's just it doesn't work well.
What do you got? Do you got 32-bit, 64-bit?
A 32-bit, yeah.
Oh,
so it's just it runs faster in the desktop, and
it
doesn't
you
crash.
have a 64-bit machine, so you should have been able to install the Power BI Desktop 64-bit version. That is great. That is lovely. I'm so glad to hear that.
Great.
Microsoft, the whole intent of Power BI Desktop, well, one of the intents, I guess, was to get over this problem, because a lot of people, we were talking about these awesome tools, and they're like, yeah, dude, but I don't know, one of your scenarios, or worse, 2007, running Excel 2007, where it's not even available. So that's great. Another trick that I'll tell you is, this one is a little kludgy. Actually, maybe it's not that kludgy. Matt Allington has helped us out. Okay, so let's see. Let me do this. So I'm going to do this one, go away. This guy, go away. Okay, I'm going to keep one of these running. And this is my model. And let's see if I can do it. So I say File, New, and I have a template for it. Thanks to Sir Matt Allington. And I get this, and notice this is blank, it's not, but I can just refresh SSAS connection. And if everything works, boom. What it did is it connected to this Power BI model right here. So I have no idea. It may be totally inapplicable to your scenario, but I get a kick out of this. What this does is this pivot is connected to, wrong way, is connected to this model. And the scenario where I use it is I use it for debugging. So if one of my measures is not working, I love debugging in a pivot table. It lets me do a lot of cool things. So I'll just have this, and like, okay, I got my measure, and let me just slice and dice the heck out of it. And I just fly in Excel, use it for years, and I just work so much faster. So I'll point you to the URL. Let's see, Matt Allington.
Okay.
And I think it's a good trick to use up your sleeve, even if it may not apply in the scenario you described. All right, so good stuff. I'm going to put that in the chat box. I should really bookmark that one. How are you in time? 9:50. Awesome. That means we have time for some cool questions. Excel. Oh, yeah, Excel. You should give it a good, memorable name. Like the best Excel Power BI trick ever. Okay, yeah, Chuck had a link as well. Pretty cool. Hey, Pamela, can you just type in a question? Oh, actually, maybe I can do it. Question, how do I do? Question, do I connect? Okay. So, all right, so I'm going to send that to all. And Charles had a URL. Let me see if I can launch it. Copy. How do I copy it? Oh, there we go. Red, green, yellow icons. Oh, Charles, you've done it. Add a table with visuals. Conditional formatting. Aha. I love the hacks. So what it's doing is you just narrow the column. That's the trick, right? Yeah, collapse. Wow. It's like, why don't I think of that? Pretty cool trick. I'm gonna add this to my arsenal. The next time somebody asks me about this, I'm like, hey, we got this trick. It's close enough. Perfect. Love it. Okay, what else we got? All right, so we got Gary. Hi, Gary. How you doing? Where are you calling in from?
Hi, Abby. This is Gary. This is Gary.
Okay, you sound like you're at the end of a tunnel or something.
Yeah, I know. I hear myself. Is that better?
A little bit. Let's give it a go.
I have a gas question.
Sorry, gosh, this is having trouble. Why don't you try typing it in? Oh gosh, I hope it wasn't like a long question. Nah, yeah, I just can't seem to hear you. I hear you're typing pretty loud. Okay, all right. So while you type it in, I'll come back to it. Promise. I think we have Eric. Maybe has a question again. Hey, Eric.
Hey, Avi. Well, good. One
Okay.
other quick question. So I've seen articles where people say they can refresh. So in Power BI Desktop, they're able to connect to a file on OneDrive.
Yeah, that's right.
And actually then send that up to the Power BI service, and it will actually refresh. And I've seen, they have to hack the hack the URL. So they go out to OneDrive and get the URL and hack it and remove some of the query string parts. Is that actually?
Okay, that's interesting. Do you have a blog or a link that you can share? So I'm
I
not
don't have it handy.
aware of that.
But I've not actually been successful with it. So that's kind of my question. I mean, it's not something that.
Okay, can we refresh connection to OneDrive on? I might have to try it. So.
Yeah, I think I've not been successful with it. So in our environment, what we're doing is we're going to set up connections to a network share via the enterprise gateway, essentially.
Yeah.
And that does work.
Okay, but of course that requires pro license.
Yeah.
You just gone ahead and bought pro licenses for everybody?
Well, yeah, we're in that process. So.
Okay. How big user size are you talking about?
I'm thinking 200 to 400.
200 to 400. All right. Right. Okay. So, I mean, so I was talking about this on the webinar yesterday, and I said I try to do everything in my power to run my clients on the free version as long as I can, not to cheat Microsoft of any money, but because I'm painfully aware that this becomes a sticking point, this becomes a bottleneck. And what I want to do is I want to, slowly and quietly roll in that Trojan horse, get it inside the city walls and then let them kind of do the aftermath. So yeah, so this thing is so cool that I don't want that to be an impediment for it spreading. Like, yeah, go ahead, everybody can use it. Versus, no, we got to buy a license. So let's see, I'm still waiting on Gary's question. So
yeah, I'm looking for
let me see if I
can. But
let me see if I can try to. Does it have OneDrive? Not really. Okay, SharePoint folder.
Yeah, what they do is I think they use the web URL option.
Mm-hmm.
So you put your file on OneDrive, you can go out there and you can get, if you click on the ... you can actually get the URL for it, and you can put it in here. But it's not a supported get data option right now, which kind of is a bummer.
Get data.
Yeah, I mean in the service you can do it, and that is good. But generally speaking, we're trying to get folks to use the desktop for.
Yeah.
the development just for the sake that you have all the modeling capabilities that you don't have in the service.
I have no idea what this is. OneDrive for business. You know what? I'll play around with it unless Chuck has something to add to it. Yeah. I'll have to play around with it. Yeah, this should be a scenario which is supported. Okay. All right. I'll try to figure that out.
Yeah,
Good
thanks.
question.
No worries.
Okay, cool. Terrific. All right, my friends, so we're close to the hour. So, Gary, I'm going to try to unmute you one more time, see if you have better luck. I don't know, maybe shout it out or something. Ignore your fellow computers over there. So, Gary, yeah, you want to try again?
Is this better?
I can kind of barely hear you. Maybe speak slowly.
I have a tax question.
Okay, you have a DAX question. Okay.
It's regarding SUMX. And I'm trying to sum or measure the combination of two separate measures. And I believe
hold on one second. So where is my attendee list? There it is. Gary. Hey, is there something you can share on screen? Let me try that.
sure.
Okay. All right, can you guys still hear me? Let's see. Okay, you can hear me. Perfect. All right. Oh, yay. Okay. So I see a measure calculates SUMX. Yeah. So, are you still on mute? Where did you go? Hey, Gary, can you say something? Let's see if we can hear you. Where is? I can't seem to hear you at all. Okay, so sorry, it's kind of weird. We lost, at least I lost our audio totally. So first of all, calculate around that SUMX doesn't do anything in the measure, so you don't really need it. So you're trying to do SUMX over a table. Yeah, sorry, gosh. I wish we were not having audio issues. Maybe you can kind of type in a notepad. Let me see what's going to calculate SUMX historically. I'm in max date. Oh boy, you're doing some heavy stuff. Later process. Gosh, I think it's going to be really hard without audio, and I can't even find you now. Maybe just type it in. So yeah, there you go. Let's try that. Okay, got it. So it's getting double the correct number. All right, my friend. So first of all, I say we get rid of the calculate. Two tables, I suppose. Two measures. Okay. Yeah, that's right. Okay, that's good. Got it. Let's dive in a little bit. So show me the tables in the data model. So I go to the it looks like you had Power Pivot in Excel. So yeah, just bring in the Power Pivot data model and show me the diagram view. I know the first time it takes some time. Okay, let's so historical AUM. So you're saying go row by row. Got it. Can you zoom out just a little bit? Sorry, the other way. Zoom, like make it smaller. Okay, got it. Now show me that measure, the AUM average min-max date. Hey folks, I know we're over the 10 o'clock mark, Pacific time with a 1 hour mark. So if you gotta bail, I wanted to thank you for joining. Gosh, you is what makes this session. Otherwise, it'll be me talking to myself, which is not a lot of fun. So if you want, you can hang out, see us. I probably would not be able to take any more questions after this, but yeah, hey, we'll be back next Friday. Okay, so I got the measure, perfect. So it's saying divide. Oh boy, so you got AUM on max. So those are measures as well. Let's look at those then. So AUM on max slicer date. Calculate AUM. Huh. Okay. Hey, this might not be something I can solve without getting your model maybe. But let me see, let me think through. So that one obviously has a measure as well. Okay, let's do that last one. Show me AUM. Okay, oh, whew, love it. Finally, we're at the end of the rabbit hole. No, just kidding. Okay, so let me go from bottom up. So AUM is simply just sum it up. Okay, sum it up. Great, on that table. And then you have, what was the next one? The next one we looked at was AUM on max slicer date. So I'm imagining you have some slicer selection. Oh, so you're doing max. So you have a range. Let's say a month is selected. So max of that date is going to be the month end. Min is going to be the month beginning. And you say, just give me the average from that. That makes sense to divide this plus this by 2. I got that. You don't really need divide there. You could just use the division operator. Divide is for protection of division by 0, but in this case, your denominator is known. Well, that's okay. You know, sometimes I use it out of habit. So I get the average min-max date. And let me go back to the AUM and max slicer date. So there you're saying calculate that, filter on historical AUM, and for the date equals max date. Got it. So I got those 3. Now let me bubble up all the way to the top to your first measure where you had the calculate, but I'm going to ignore the calculate, and it said SUMX on historical AUM. Give me the min-max date and related products rev multiplied by related products rev. Okay. Why do you need the, okay, get it. So you need to multiply it by the products rev. So in your historical AUM table, for a given selection, and for different AUM rows, the product rev is going to be different. What is that? Maybe show me the products table, products rev table. Oh, products table. Yeah, I'll see. Okay. Oh, okay, got it, got it. So a revenue. So you want to find the product revenue. Okay, this is good. Okay, okay. Gosh, I feel like I'm almost at it, but not quite. Again, it's a little tricky with that audio. Okay. So what is revenue? So what does AUM? Maybe you can give me a general idea. What is the AUM? You're trying to multiply the revenue with that number. What is that? Product revenue appreciated. Oh, okay, okay. So it's some kind of a projection maybe you're running, like, or okay, okay, got it. Um, hmm. And finally, show me where you show this measure. What kind of report? What's on the rows? What's on the columns? And if you can show it in a pivot table, that'll be best. Okay, so you have products. What's on rows? Rows is portfolio. Where is portfolio coming from? Which table? Products. Okay, all right. Woohoo! I think you must be on to something. Okay, so I'm going to go out on a limb. I mean, obviously, this is a somewhat complex. Yeah. I mean, given how much time I've spent on it, given audio challenges, so I may not have the complete information, but I kind of get what you're trying to do. Is saying, hey, set this date, kind of a start date, the min date, and max date, and that gives you that you use to build measures to build this AUM number, some kind of a projection, or what's the word you used? The appreciate, how much it needs to appreciate. Great. So you use that to get that number, right? And then you go to the product and you say, yeah, multiply it by that number. So you have AUM on slicer date, you have AUM on max slicer date. Great already. And what is the historical? Can you put the historical AUM on there as well? I think that was the, no, sorry, the AUM average min-max date. Do you already have that? Oh, you already have that. Great. So you have that already for the product, and you have the profitability revenue. Is that the product's rev? Is that simply the sum of products rev? Yeah, okay, great. So well, what if you just did a measure which didn't do SUMX? It just said average, really the measure in the column F, AUM average min-max date multiplied by profitability revenue. Nothing and nothing around it. No SUMX, no calculate, just this measure multiplied by that measure. Dude, what if you stripped all of that out? Because okay, so sorry, it's not clear to me. Have you already tried it and didn't work, or are you saying you will give it a try and see how that does? Okay, perfect. All right, so yeah, I think maybe you're yeah overcomplicating it. Again, it may be me not understanding the full scenario. So great. So we'll look at that. Hey, one thing I wanted to say was that if this data is sensitive, we can edit out this part of the video. We record these calls. So let me know. Okay, perfect. So it's gone. It's gone, or we'll blur it or something so they can't see it. All right. Well, thank you, folks. Gosh, I love these sessions, and yeah, we meet every Friday. So yeah, join us again next Friday or whenever you have any question. I'm going to take back control. Actually, I don't know how to Percentage change from there. Okay, there we go. Ah, there we go. All right, thanks so much. I want to sign off. Thanks for joining. I'll maybe see you next week.